Amazon Basics Computer Cooling Fan with Cooler Master Technology.
This is the Amazon Basics CPU cooler. Yes, Amazon now makes a CPU cooler. This single tower, single fan cooler features 4 copper heat pipes that are going to make direct contact with your CPU. The included 92mm fan has some RGB lighting, and the whole thing comes with a hardware-based controller, so changing the lighting is pretty easy. While this cooler is small, it does a decent job in the cooling department. The cooler itself isn't going to come in any type of fancy packaging or anything like that. This is very much an Amazon Basics product, but inside the box, you will find the cooler itself, all of your mounting hardware, thermal paste, the RGB controller, and your instructions. Taking a first look at the cooler, it's actually one of the smallest coolers that I've ever reviewed. Now I'll go ahead and put the official dimensions, like right here. Now, the cool thing about this being small is that this not only makes this cooler great for normal, mid-towers, but also it's going to be really good for smaller form factor systems. Starting at the front of the cooler, we have our fan, which is a 92mm unit. This fan will spin between 600 and 2000 RPM with a max airflow of 34.73, max air pressure of 1.86, and max noise level of 30 dBA. The fan does have a black glossy frame with clear blades, which will reflect the RGB lighting embedded in the fan. Looking at the cooler from the side, we can see that it is a single tower cooler and that the fan uses a clip-on design, which is actually a lot easier to work with compared to traditional fan clips. If you're wondering how tall the cooler is, it's about 5.35 inches or about 135 millimeters. So as I said, being this small, it's going to be able to fit into small form factor systems pretty well. Moving around to the back, we can see the stacked fin design of the heatsink. It's made up of 40 aluminum fins, and of course we have our heat pipes going up through it. The top of the cooler is capped off with heat pipes protruding out through the top cap. The top of the cooler was actually noticeably dirty, which was a bit odd for a new product. Coming up from the base of the cooler are 4 copper heat pipes. These go up into the heatsink in a U fashion, which is pretty standard when it comes to tower coolers. These heat pipes will make direct contact with your CPU, which is really good for thermal transfer. Installation of this cooler is going to be pretty easy just because it is really small. Now we're going to be doing our installation on an Intel Z490 system, so our installation should be pretty much the same across all, modern Intel sockets. The first thing you're going to want to do is find the Intel backplate and attach it to the back of your motherboard, making sure the screw holes go through the holes in your motherboard. Now remove the fan from the cooler and take the Intel mounting bars and install them on the base of the cooler using the included screws. Apply the included thermal paste and then place the cooler on top of your CPU, lining up the screws on the mounting bars with the screw holes in the backplate you previously installed. With everything lined up, screw in the cooler to secure it. Finally, reattach the fan and be sure to plug it into your motherboard. Then go ahead and take that 4-pin RGB connection and either connect it to the controller or directly to your motherboard. With the cooler installed on your motherboard, you're going to have 100% memory clearance, so you don't have to worry about covering RGB modules or anything like that. Also, since the cooler is so small, you actually have really easy access to that lever to release your graphics card. When it comes to RGB lighting, this is an RGB fan, not an ARGB fan. So all of the LEDs in the fan will be the same color at all times. Now, it's really nice that Cooler Master did include the controller. The controller is really small. The only issue that I do have with it is that it's powered via Molex, not SATA. So you have to, if this is a brand new build for you, you got to go in and find a Molex connection with your power supply, which is few and far between these days. So that's the really only issue with the controller. Now, the controller does have 3 buttons on it. The first button is for brightness, so you can turn the brightness down and up. There's 5 different levels there. The second one is for colors, so you can cycle between 7 different colors, very easy to do. And then finally, you have your effects. So there's just a solid effect, a blinking effect, and a breathing effect. You can set these to do a single color or cycle through your colors, but that's it. So again, because this is just RGB, not ARGB, you're not going to be able to do rainbow wave or anything like that. But like I said, I do like that they have the controller included. When it comes to testing CPU coolers, we test both temperatures as well as sound levels. So here's a full breakdown of the test system we use for our CPU coolers. At the end of the day, I think Amazon has a pretty good CPU cooler here. One, it is very easy to install. And 2 is that it is going to be okay when it comes to cooling. It's not, again, designed to be a super high performance air cooler, but it definitely will get the job done when it comes to mid-range CPUs. So if you are looking for an easy to install air cooler, this is one that I would definitely recommend.